The previous basket is under review.
Welcome back to Stats by Will and Jim, a college basketball podcast that focuses on the numbers. We are proudly a part of the Basket Under Review conglomerate, the very best college basketball site on the internet, the best community, the best content. That's what we think anyways. We're biased, but that's fine.
You can
Please
drop
check
a
out the
corporate
site.
synergy thing next. Conglomerate.
Yeah, that's right, man. I've been away from the corporate calls too long. We're going to backburner this discussion for a little bit though, Will, so don't worry.
We'll take it offline.
Yes, exactly. Only $10 a month gets you access to the site and to the Discord as well, where there's constant chatter. We just had a second update to Trilly's potential portal list. So if you're hunting potential additions next offseason or this coming offseason, then hop in because you might see some names that you want to scout coming up the rest of the season. But yeah, you also get writing from my co-host here, Will Warren. You get Brian Ralph's Ralph Report, Jordan Majeski's daily write-ups, some guest pieces. The Basket Under Review pod is also under that umbrella. Eamon Brennan, Tate Frazier, the Burp, as it is known. And of course, here we are, Stats, with me, Jim Root, your host, and Will Warren, my always co-host. Will, we were both out of town this weekend. We're back in our homes, in our bunkers, ready to batten down the hatches against the cold and the snow. But you made a little trip up to the Northeast. Do you have any updates for the people after your little voyage?
Just a little sojourn north. Took my dad with me for his birthday. Says good to get up there. I won't say where. People in the Discord will find out. Taking a couple pictures, we'll say, throw some people off the scent where I might be at, might not be. My big spot up in the Northeast, I'll send you the photo, was this garbage can with a name on it. It's a female name. And I'll send it to you and you can guess without looking what it said.
I am so confused. I love the conceptual description. I can't wait to see what it is, folks. It's going to be a little behind the scenes on Stats, whatever this ends up being. I'm very intrigued.
All right, I'm sending it to you now.
Okay. I was in northern Wisconsin with some old friends, an annual Martin Luther King Day trip, wishing we were watching a Packer football game, but we were not, unfortunately. What on earth is this? I was leaving
our hotel Sunday morning on the way to the train. I saw this and I was like, why is this the way it is?
For the listeners, there is a dumpster among other dumpsters, and one is spray painted with the lovely name Elaine. Poor Elaine is
people there.
A dumpster. Yes. Sad to see, sad times in the unnamed Northeast city where Will traveled. All right, let's get this show kicked off. We always start with the stat of the day, Will, and then we get into our 7-stat rotation. Stat of the day, this is less a number and more just a little bit of trivia. I'm leaning back on Evan Mia's player ratings, his Bayesian box plus minus. So there's 7 teams that picked out where I'm going to have you guess the highest ranked player on the team. And obviously I'm picking these because I think it's a little tricky. I'm not going to ask you to name Duke's best player. Everyone knows who that is.
Yeah,
I think some of these are... Yeah, exactly. The defensive stalwart that he is. Hey, if he scores 20 plus points, Duke is like infinity and per John Rothstein. So remember that. It helps when a scorer scores points. But I've got 7 here listed. Hopefully you can get a few of them. They're not overly tricky, but at least you know going in that is sort of the premise behind them. We'll start near the top of the national rankings. We'll start with Arizona, actually at the literal top. Who is the highest ranked player at Evan Mia or highest ranked Arizona player per Evan Mia?
Okay. There's like 3 candidates for this in my head, actually. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
I will guess it's Shaden Bradley.
Hey, there we go. All right. Starting off 1 for 1. Perfect. I wasn't sure if I could trick you into naming.
I thought it was going to be either him or Koa Pete.
Okay. Yeah. I wondered if I could. I'm
guessing like there's some amount of like preseason influence in these still, I'm wagering.
A little bit. Yeah. And I think Burries has started to play a lot better and is getting momentum as arguably one of their best players. Krivas is up there as well. But they have 5 top 100 players, and that's how you end up being the number 1 team in the country. All right, let's move on to Nebraska, undefeated Nebraska ball. Who is their highest ranked player per Evan Mia?
Is it Rink Mast?
It is not Rink Mast.
Really?
That's I was surprised. That's why I decided to include them.
Is it? It wouldn't be Price Sandfort, would it?
It is Price Sandfort, an
Yeah.
extremely high offensive BPR for him. Yep, because the shot making. Perhaps what's most surprising is that Rink Mast is not second; he is third, and the
See,
second ranked
that's
player is
surprising to me because
Sammy Hoiberg.
Mast feels like the engine, like he
Yeah,
feels like
I
the reason.
completely agree. Yep, and I think maybe even Evan would probably say like, it's just kind of noise in the numbers. I watch Nebraska and realize he's their best player too. But perhaps what this does tell you is the impact that Sandford is making is even larger than we realized. And I slipped in there. Sam Hoiberg, their second ranked player.
Sam Hoiberg. Shout out to nepotism.
Unbelievable.
Sometimes it's good.
Sometimes it works.
Noah
That's
Eagle,
right.
Sam Hoiberg. Like sometimes
Yes.
it's okay.
Okay, let's go to UConn. Another one where it's really hard to pin down who the best player in UConn is.
This is well. No, I guess games played wouldn't matter here because I would say Terrace Reed, but I feel like if you're leading me this direction, it'll be like solo ball.
It is neither of them. Solo ball is fourth. Terrace Reed is second.
Demery?
It is Silas Demery. Yes, he
Okay,
has
so
made.
Kiraban's third then.
Yep.
Okay.
Demery's made such a big leap within that system. I know UConn fans are excited. They're starting to get like the Tristan Newton caliber performances from him as the big body point guard that can knock down some shots. He's been outstanding in Big East play. Number 1 in the entire conference in assist rate, number 7 in offensive rating, shooting 55% from three. Yes, Demery has really got it figured out in league play. Okay, North Carolina is the next one.
Jesus, if it's not Caleb Wilson.
It is not Caleb Wilson.
That is, ooh. Okay, so quick aside here before we get to this, because I am cheating a little bit here. I did go to KenPom really quick to look up to see if Caleb Wilson was like still in the KPOI. He is. He's number 5 nationally. So it's going to be Vasar. But
yep, correct.
Quick aside here. I had a Tennessee fan in my life reach out to me and say Jacoby Gillespie was a stat merchant because he ranked so highly at Evan Mia. We've got a long way to go with literacy in this sport. So you and I have some heavy lifting to do, I'll say.
He's a stat merchant in the sense that he accumulates a lot of positive stats, I guess, which tend to impact winning.
Look, I didn't claim this take was smart.
Okay. All right.
Or this person.
Yeah, I hope this isn't coming across as like a roast of Evans rankings. It's not what it's intended at all. Just kind of like surprising impact from certain guys. So Vasar being slightly ahead of Caleb Wilson jumped out to me a little bit.
Is it a defense thing?
Yeah, generally defense. And we'll move a little further down national rankings here for the last 3. I guess not really that far. Virginia. Who is Virginia's most highly ranked player?
See, that's hard because I think it could be 5 different guys.
Yeah. And it might be a 6th you're not even thinking of. That's the funny part.
Is it Chance Mallory?
It is Chance Mallory. Yes. Okay. I wondered if you would remember our freshman ranking discussion from 2 episodes ago or something.
That's where I went to.
Okay. Perfect. Good. Okay. That's studying up. That's doing your homework. He is a top 50 player per Evan Mia, just ahead of Grunlow, DeRitter, Dallin Hall, and Malik Thomas. So impressive stuff from the under recruited freshman there. 2 more. Let's go to Georgia. This one sort of surprised me a little bit.
Okay, that surprised you. Then I'm thinking it's not Blue Cane.
Okay, it did. Then it didn't surprise me, I guess. Yes, it is Blue Cane.
Okay.
It is Blue Cane. I was kind of expecting it to be Surreal because he's kind of irreplaceable. But
having watched Blue Cane in high school, I will say it surprises me it's Blue Cane, but good for him.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, hyper efficient offensively, despite not really even making threes. Credit to him for what he's 2 for 20 from 3 in league play, and yet still a positive contributor there. Last one, Wisconsin. Who's the highest rated Wisconsin player per Evan Mia?
Is it Blackwell?
It is not John Blackwell.
Oh. It wouldn't be Nick Boyd then, because I feel like you really are leading me down a weird direction here.
Yep, it's not Nick Boyd either. How about that?
Oh my God. Andrew Rohde. There's no way.
Thankfully, no. It is Nolan Winter. Nolan Winter, 40th nationally in BPR. Nick Boyd just
40th.
inside the top 100 as well. Yeah, Nolan Winter's way, way up there. He's the only guy on their team with like a remotely positive defensive rating.
40th.
Yeah, so impressive stuff there and surprising for sure. So that's the stat of the day. Again, just kind of like highlighting some guys who maybe are a little underrated in their national measure of what they're impacting. But shout out to Evan Mia for those numbers. All right, home field. Got to give a shout out to home field, Will, before we get into our little back and forth on the numbers here. Home field is having a moment right now, considering
interviewed on ESPN, right?
That's right. CEO Connor Hitchcock interviewed before the national championship game. He is an IU grad. He has built the home field brand kind of around Hoosier fandom, and suddenly they are the national powerhouse in college football. So congrats to Connor. Congrats to the team there. And if you're interested in picking up some gear, perhaps for the national champion Hoosiers, you can head to homefieldapparel.com and use promo code BURNER15 for 15% off your first purchase, whether it is t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, joggers. I'm sure they're going to have like shoes soon. I know they've got like hockey jerseys. It's all kind of stuff there at home field. Great gear, great logos. And like I said, they're in the headlines right now. So promo code BURNER15, homefieldapparel.com. Wear one for the team. All right, well, let's get into it. Back and forth on the numbers. We both prepared 8 just in case we overlap. So for the listeners at home, we're doing extra credit for you to make sure we give you all kinds of good numbers. Well, I'll let you lead off. What do you got for us?
Our man, the storm chaser. What's his Ronovich?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. His bingo card is prepped for us to say, "Oh, I was thinking of that one as well," or "Oh, that segues right into my number 4."
Yes, exactly. We've got some natural transition points here.
Yeah, some corporate synergy here. The number here is plus 31.56. So I'm imagining you're thinking we're going Ken Palm route here, and we are. But
okay, yep. Or someone's net rating. You got me though. 2 decimal points should have given me away that it's Ken Palm. Yeah.
So can you guess what it might be?
Somebody Ken Palm doesn't have date filters, so I can't guess that. Is it like the average of the top 5 or something?
God dang, dude. Top 10. Really close. The reason we're bringing this up, so there's only January level like daily data at Ken Palm going back to the 2011-2012 season. But that is important because this is year 15 of this where we've got this. This is the highest ever recorded average net rating for the top 10 on this date in history. That's notable because last year was the previous high of the top 10 in history. The top 5 is actually lower compared to last season by about a point. Last year's top 5, I think, had an average of like plus 33.5 on this date. This year's is a bit over 32. So the top end is not quite as separated as it felt last year, where we got like a very appropriate Final Four, all 4 1 seeds. Like it just felt right. This year, the top 5's not as strong, but if you go and look, like 6 through 10 is the strongest we've ever seen. You know, you've got Gonzaga plus 31.04, Illinois plus 30.44. Iowa State at this time 3 years ago, so 22-23, would have been the strongest team by like a full 2 points. They're 8th. Michigan State would have been number 1. They're 10th. That's just how good the back end of the field is right now. And I've run all the data because I'm doing an article the day this goes up on, I do this every year. We do 1 January, 1 February, 1 March of, how does the field look like compared to previous years? This year, once again, the average top 50 rating is the highest it's ever been. But what we're seeing is the gap from 1 to 10 to 26 to 50 is the largest ever. The good news is the gap from 1 to 5 all the way back isn't the largest we've ever seen, but the gap is widening. I don't love to say that, especially after what we saw last year. We saw the biggest gap on record. And we look, if not specifically on track for a tournament like last year, one very similar to 2017, where, championship game of all 1 seeds. I don't believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, a single 13 through 16 seed won a game that year. Had a very upset-free tournament on the whole. We kind of have had this discussion of, is Cinderella gone? Is Cinderella going to come back? Whatever it may be. These numbers are not trending in the chaos direction, I would say.
Yeah, this looks. You mentioned 2023, how Iowa State would have been the highest ranked team. That was also the year we had a Final Four of 4 seed, 5 seed, 5 seed, 9 seed, and that seems extremely unlikely to happen again. It's funny because the immediate reactions to that were like, is this going to be the Final Four going forward? Is it going to be a lot of underdogs? And last year,
shit,
the
I
heavy
wish the
reaction-
hotels were so cheap. That was great. That was the best Final Four ever.
Last year we get all 4 1 seeds. So it
my
feels
lower bowl ticket, because I wasn't media, my lower bowl ticket was $140 for that Saturday.
Yeah, there you go.
It's never happening again.
The FAU San Diego State fan bases just weren't quite able to fill it up the way that Duke and everybody else did last year, unfortunately. But yeah, it does seem like we are trending more towards 1 seeds, 2 seeds, 3 seeds being the true powerhouses that they are. I'm trying to look back at that NCAA tournament 2017 if we actually had any upset. We had a 11 seed. Yeah, the 11s had a great year, but the only 12 seed to win was Middle Tennessee, and they were favored against Minnesota. So
yeah,
that is kind of telling on how few upsets we saw and potentially what it's going to be this year. But yeah, the rich are getting richer at the top of the sport, and I think there is some ability to build a team year to year rather than kind of having to take the players that you recruit and mold them. You can fill such roster holes like the way Michigan is built, or the way, let's say, Arizona or somebody's built. You can figure out the right team structure to ascend to the highest level, and we're seeing that quite a bit now in the sport.
And I think the good news is that once again we're going to have a banger tournament. I mean, the strength of the field is really good. It does, people will point to like offensive efficiency or whatever is like maybe inflating the Ken Palms a little bit. I've got to still run a little bit of data before I run the article on like the percentage difference, like how far out is 1 through 10 compared to like 51 through 100, so on and so forth. But the point being, like, the gap is widening, and that's not great, but I don't think it's a death knell either, because even if like we may see another tournament where like the 13th through 16th, well, I do think we'll get 1 win somewhere. We always seem to eventually get one, but we're probably not going to see a deep run by an Oral Roberts or whatever. But that is going to lead to, in all likelihood, another tournament where we get a great Sweet 16, a great Elite 8, another like headline heavy Final Four. I think we'll have a lot of, what I'm saying is, this might not be a great round of 64, but second weekend onward, we're going to get a lot of bangers.
Yep. Yeah. And that's kind of how we felt last year. Remember, like, there just weren't like the close games, the buzzer beaters, et cetera, early on. But man, do we get some really, really high quality games later in the tournament. And I guess ultimately I'll make that trade. You'd love to have both, but it's hard to get everything you ask for. That's what I learned at Christmas, Will. All right. I'm going to go with my first number, pivoting off one point you made there. The team that would have ranked or has the net rating to rank number 1 in 2023, Iowa State. Right now, through 5 Big 12 games, they're shooting 46.5% from 2-point range. That is 15 out of 16 teams in the conference. And we know this team is still rock solid defensively. They really create panic on that end. They've got great ball pressure, but they're also 12th in turnover rate, and the offense is fading a little bit here. Even with Momcilovic staying a true human fireball from beyond the arc, he's still over 50% in league play. Josh Jefferson is still an All-American, number 2 in Ken Palms Player of the Year rankings. Taman Lipsey's been efficient, but the fall off in the role players a little bit, the fall off in the finishing, and they haven't even played Houston or Arizona yet in league play. So for these like raw numbers to not be very good, I have some concern about Iowa State. And I think our basket under review cohort, Matthew Winnick's been kind of calling them out as not that good offensively, and the trend down is noticeable. I'm curious, Will, where you're at on Iowa State, and if you think this is a panic level type offensive fade, or is it just kind of a small sample size?
Well, something that's really concerning to me, and these numbers are adjusted for who they've played, is that they're 10th in the Big 12 in offensive efficiency through 5 games, and they've shot 39% from 3. So they have still shot really well from deep, and it hasn't mattered. because, like you said, the finishing's not great. I mean, the defenses they've played, I will say Kansas and Cincinnati are both excellent defenses, even with like some of the offensive problems those two have. And I would also argue in favor of West Virginia on the defensive end. Offensively, obviously not, but they did, shred them pretty well. But they're like, some of these performances are quite worrisome. I don't like seeing, for instance, like only just barely north of a point per possession against Baylor. Like they weren't really that great against Oklahoma State either. And not only that, but and they are third in the conference in defensive turnover percentage forced, which is not bad, but they're down to 17% of opponent possessions where they're forcing turnovers in conference play. For their calculus, that's not good enough. Like they've just got to be better. And I don't really know what the fix is. I don't know. I do think that they just, to go with the directionality of it again, they just played north of their ability for most of non-conference play, and I think it sold them a little higher than what they're actually worth. So I don't know. I don't think that they're as bad as they've shown in conference play, but I definitely do not believe that they were the top 2, top 3 team we were being sold in December. I think somewhere in between where they're like, I don't want to be mean here, but like 13th feels about right.
Yeah, that feels fair. Yeah, especially, I mean, they're off that 2-game losing streak to Kansas and Cincinnati. They do play Tuesday night after we are recording this, so perhaps we'll give a forecast on whether they get right as a home favorite.
Boy, if you need a defense to get right against, UCF is your team.
That is correct.
I like that point. Figure it out there.
I like the point you made on their defensive turnover rate. How, yes, it's top 3 in the league, but at only 17%, that's way below like standard for Otzelberger. The last 3 years in Big 12 play, it's been at least 22%. In 2024, it was 25%. A quarter of possessions they were forcing turnovers. This team has the ball pressure to do that, but they haven't been able to so far with some of the teams they've played. So I'm keeping my eye on Iowa State because I think some of the cracks are a little bit real. And as you mentioned, that this isn't like a top 5 team the way they had sort of shown themselves, especially with that Purdue road win. It's coming back down to earth a little bit. All right, well, back to you for your second number.
Well, this team played yesterday as we're recording this. You had the lead-in to the national title game in football. It's not Providence, don't worry. It is George Mason. I think that we have done a really good job this year, pat on the back, of covering the sport's biggest stories. And I do think that as a whole, national media is getting better at expanding their focus beyond like the top 10. That being said, we really have not touched on the fact much as a crew that George Mason's 18-1. These guys are good. And it was really funny to see a tweet yesterday that called them the worst 17-1 team in history. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. That's good. I guess you like, it's damning with faint praise, or you're like, well, I'm still 17-1. So
yeah, I think it's just like some angry gambler was like mad that they weren't, winning by 5.5 or whatever. Yeah, it feels about right. So, he should, do something indescribable. But anyway, the George Mason Patriots 18-1. They are lucky. Let's get that out of the way. They are 10-0 in any game that's been within 5 points in the final 5 minutes.
Wow,
really hard to pull that
finish. Off. Yeah. Tons of bounces to your way.
The reason why is because opponents are shooting 4 for 28 from 3 and 61% from the foul line in the final 5 minutes of these games. So,
oh my God,
yeah, little good on the luck side. But it helps that they are third in America in free throw attempt differential. That is really big in close games. Third in free throw attempt rate offensively. They don't turn the ball over. Very good at securing defensive rebounds. They've just got, and I think the key for them is like they've got guys like all over the place. Like Alan Spock is sort of the dude down low. Corey Mincy on the perimeter has been really good and really efficient. Never seems to leave the floor either, which I like. Adebayo has started to come on for them offensively too. They're just a team with a lot of answers to people's questions, and despite the strength of schedule concerns, and despite the fact that they are really unfortunate to share a conference with St. Louis in a year where they're having a legendary season, also a shame those two only play once, by the way, and it's the season finale.
Yeah, real bummer.
Yeah, maybe we should go to that. they're a fun team. And Morrison crying on Twitter made this point that the A10 has been really bad in previous years at cannibalizing itself. And I really hope for the A10's sake that this George Mason team, even if you're a fan of like St. Bonaventure, VCU or whatever, just keeps winning. Because if they do, the A10 is sneaking up on having a very real shot at 3 bids. If St. Louis keeps winning, if George Mason, I'm going to say if George Mason gets to like 27-4, they're probably north of the bubble. That feels about right. So 27-4, they're probably good. And if so, you just need A10 roulette to come through one time, and
that's
whatever
when it can
city.
eat itself. It can eat itself in the A10 tournament, just not in regular season play.
And personally, I'd be happy if it is George Washington, because I do find George Washington pretty entertaining. But this is about GMU. This is about a historical year. If you're a GMU fan, don't worry about the coaching carousel just yet. Enjoy what you got. I know I don't need to tell you that twice because you already are, but legendary season from a guy who is already a legendary figure for the program.
Yep, it's really cool that he's been part of their best postseason run ever as a player, and now arguably one of their best regular seasons ever. They're 38th in wins above bubble per the NCAA's official site, so they are like legitimately in the field based on resume at this point. The advanced analytics or the predictive analytics trail behind a little, but they just keep winning, and that's what matters. And to your point on cannibalizing itself, like George Washington's a team that can beat anybody in that conference because of the talent they put out there, and they were winning that game for stretches yesterday. And George Mason just found enough plays down the stretch, found enough resilience in the second half to come back from a little bit of a deficit and to hang. I guess it was more seesaw back and forth for most of the second half, but George Mason, I kind of like how do they keep winning? But they just do. And one of the guys you mentioned, Riley Allensbach, is a huge reason for it. He had a monster double-double yesterday, and he transferred from Samford, which is where Bucky McMillan used to coach, and he's now at Texas A&M, and that's what I'm going to talk about. How's that? I connected the dots. I walked the line there. That's right. If
I had a towel or a T-shirt, I would wave it right now for you.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Like all the Indiana fans watching the title game in Assembly Hall last night. All kinds of
their
towels
towel
being
game
waved.
is freaking incredible.
Yes.
I'm jealous. So I don't know how it was at Mizzou. Quick aside here before you go into A&M. At Tennessee, 4-year student here. I got a pom-pom at one game a year, and in both basketball and football. That was it. I never got a towel.
Oh, that's a shame. You deserve
never
more
got a
than
shirt.
No shirt is ridiculous. Did
you get like free stuff at Mizzou games, I'm guessing?
We did. Definitely got some shirts. Unfortunately, I can't believe you were disrespected in that way where you did not get that.
It's pretty normal here.
All right. Yes, it is barely a number, but the number I'm using is November 14th. And that's the last time Texas A&M lost in regulation. And since then, they only have 2 losses to SMU in OT, to Tennessee in double overtime. Since the day after that, November 15th, they are 25th in Bart Torvik. They are now a top 40 Ken Pom team. They have the number 2 defense in the SEC during league play, which obviously there's some schedule stuff there. But they did lose on the road to Tennessee. They haven't played a complete slouch crew. I just am really impressed with how far along they seem to be already in Bucky McMillan's first year. They lost Mackenzie Mbako for the season, and they've still managed to stay effective on both ends of the court. Ruben Dominguez is probably a massively under-discussed player nationally, considering how elite he is as a shooter on massive volume. Helps set up that Bucky ball spacing. I just like the defense being number 2 is crazy to me because they're forcing turnovers. I don't know what to make of them. Will, I thought they're going to be like much more high variance and have some dud performances. We just haven't really seen a dud performance in a while from this team.
Yeah, we did early. I mean, they got demolished by Oklahoma State and lost at home to UCF. But I agree. I am shocked that they're 4-1. I'll be honest, especially with that Mbako, I didn't think this was going to work. I thought that they were going to be like 12th, 13th in the SEC. And they still certainly could have that type of run, but I mean, they get demolished on the defensive boards big time, but they force turnovers so well. The defense has really rounded into form in a way I didn't think it would this year. And to A&M's fortune, they're going to get like a pretty good reprieve from the worst of the SEC schedule to start here. So at the time of recording, Tuesday, January 20th, the day this goes up, they will play Mississippi State, who is obviously in dire straits, and then South Carolina on Saturday. So running quick numbers here, probably a 60-ish% chance that they're 6-1 next week with a week break for the record. They get that bye week at a great time before they go on the road to Georgia. Not totally unrealistic. We could be looking at 7-1 A&M in conference play.
Yeah,
it's possible. I don't think it's going to get there, but their February looming, which is a hellish February for the record. I'm looking at it right now. Rest of the way after January 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their final 9 games are Tier A at Ken Palm. So, that's tough. But like, if you're 6-1, like you can't complain. I thought you might not get 6 conference wins.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some A&M fans that didn't think so either. Like it was a late hire, and I thought McMillan did a pretty good job finding pieces in the portal, and whether he enticed a few of them to enter so that they would come to Texas A&M or not. The personnel maybe was better than I expected for the timing of the hire, but the results have been even better than I expected. I can't believe they're top 40, and they've been consistent for 2 solid months now, where if all you're going to do is lose an OT on a neutral floor to SMU and losing double OT at Tennessee while picking up wins at Auburn, at Texas, at Pittsburgh, Oklahoma at home, like it's not a murderer's row, but it's solid performances, and they haven't had like that dud that we've sort of expected at some point. So credit to Bucky McMillan and the Aggies, a team that I think has been very surprising at this point in the year.
We apologize for the Burr curse if they do lose to Mississippi State.
Yeah, we just advance apologies.
Nothing we can do.
Yep, we're talking about you when we think you deserve it, and so we'll see what happens after. All right, well, number 3 for you.
This one, I was playing around on CBB Analytics this week, and this one really shocked me. 2 teams in America have 9 wins, wire to wire, so they haven't trailed a single time in these games. One is Virginia. Not that surprising. They've been pretty good at, putting the hammer down. The other, the Santa Clara Broncos.
Wow, that does shock me.
This floored me. They are tied for first in America with 9 wire-to-wire wins. We have not talked about these guys a ton this year. I have brought them up a few times because they've had some really good shot volume stuff, and I like seeing that. And I was kind of ready to quit on them after they lost to Loyola Chicago, which could end up being the most disastrous loss of the entire year if their season goes the way I think it will. But they've really rounded back into shape, 7-1 in the WCC, and pulled off the win they absolutely positively had to have as a program by beating St. Mary's on Saturday 62-54. This is a really good basketball team. And I know that's, a little bit of fork found in kitchen type of stuff to say, but I'm just saying it here so people know. Top 60 in both offense and defense, 11th in offensive rebounding, 19th in turnovers forced, top 50 in 2-point percentage. It feels like Herb Sendek has tried to build towards this team for about 5 years and finally has it. Like, this feels like the team we've been waiting for from Santa Clara for essentially ever since COVID hit, where they'd have a great freshman that was, just kind of gone too soon for the NBA, or they'd have a guy who evolved like a little too quickly that didn't have the right talent around him. This year they have that guy in Alan Graves, but they've got the right talent. Like Elijah Mahi is awesome. Christian Hammond is awesome. Jake Ensminger is such a good role player, just like the perfect guy for what he does. Doesn't need to do more than what he does, but he's great at it. I love this team. Love watching them. Love seeing them play. They get the WCC version of the bye week this week where they don't play midweek, and their road game on Saturday is, kind of a bye week. You go and play San Diego.
I thought that's what you meant initially when you said they get a bye week. I thought you were going to just shovel dirt on.
Do you remember this offseason when people were like, "Oh, watch out for San Diego. They bring back all their talent." It's like, yeah, it's bad talent.
Yeah, and the portal production they got was from a bunch of losing teams. So
do you think people from the Cleveland Browns are excited they brought back all the Browns?
No, they're not.
No. Let's get real for a second. But yes, this team is really good. They are, as I type verbally, like tracking to be tied for second with SMC in the WCC. So their projection is 14-4, puts them at 23-8. I don't know if that gets it done. I think 15-3 is probably the cut line that they got to get to. But they're only underdogs in 2 more games the rest of the way. Home Gonzaga, road St. Mary's. If you hold serve, and especially if you can pull off that Gonzaga game at home, which is a lot easier said than done. But Gonzaga's kind of dealing with some injury stuff, so I don't think it's totally outlandish that they could do it. Huff, I don't think will be back by then. EK sat out this weekend, so we'll see. I mean,
Yeah,
it's possible.
it's doable. They were tied at halftime at Gonzaga, so it's not like they can't play with that team at all. I've been sort of resistant to this, like how I don't fully see it. They don't have that like NBA level talent this year of Adama Ball or Jalen Williams or Brandon Pajimski, but this team just fits way better. They're huge up front. They're long on the wing. Like there was a big deal made about Thierry Darlin joining the team in the offseason, a guy that I think had some G League experience, and he doesn't even start. Like he's a 15 to 20 minute a game role player off the bench. They've got a two-headed monster at center with Graves, as you mentioned, and Bucky Oboye, and they're just getting enough shot making and enough defense from the entire roster. They are much better than I realized and I gave credit for. And I thought St. Mary's would pick them off there, and they handled that game in a way that I did not expect Santa Clara to be able to do against a Randy Bennett team. So yeah, I'm conceding. Santa Clara, legit top 50 team, very much in the hunt for an at-large, and would be in it if they had just beaten Loyola. That's like, I think that was like negative 0.95 in terms of WAB in that, and they're just sitting 50th nationally in WAB right now. If they had gotten that game, they'd probably be 35th or so.
The current first 4 at Torvik in the tourney cast is pretty tasty. San Diego State, Santa Clara, Virginia Tech, Texas. Give me that happily.
I'd watch those games. Yeah, I'd be very entertained by
that. Exact pairing of those 4 teams would be perfect.
Yep. Well, Will, you just keep setting me up unintentionally, so I'm gonna take it. You mentioned San Diego State. My stat for them is 43.3%. That is their 2-point percentage allowed in Mountain West play right now. They're now the only remaining undefeated in Mountain West play after Utah State lost at Grand Canyon. Still not projected to win the league by KenPom despite that, but the defense looks really back. They are leading the Mountain West in 3 of the 4 factors: effective field goal percentage, turnover rate, and defensive rebound percentage. Doing all those things at the best level in the league is really challenging. And I just, they kind of couldn't figure out what they wanted to be lineup wise early in the season. Magoon Gloth was out with injury issues and not really playing like himself. And they're playing by far the deepest bench of Brian Dutcher's career. But it seems like they've sort of solved what they want to be. The defense is outstanding. I know they gave up 79 to New Mexico, but that was a 78 possession game. They're still efficient there. They've got the length, athleticism, physicality, the coaching chops to be great defensively, and the production is starting to match the potential in that regard.
I think, I hate to say it like this, but since sending Sean Newman to Siberia and elevating LZ Harrington to point guard, they have just been way better at the point of attack, which I can't say I'm shocked by considering how bad of a defender Sean Newman was at Louisiana Tech. It just, like, it puts so much less stress on their front court, not having to erase everything. Like their foul rate is way down, like you mentioned. Rim, like their 2-point percentage allowed is really good. I look at Hoop Explorer right now. So the last 30 days, only 28% of opponent shots are at the rim. That's the 9th lowest rate allowed. It's really good. Like 52% of opponent shots are from 3. The perimeter defense being that much improved has really aided things for them. And like you said, the bench is, a lot deeper than usual, which I think helps. It puts so much less stress on Guath or Miles Bird or BJ Davis, like guys in the backcourt that, they can just kind of, it's sort of not exactly an A&M type thing or a press type thing, but it feels press-like in that they can play their hardest and put it all out without having to conserve, because they know, like, if they go to the bench, there isn't going to be this giant drop-off anymore. And so it seems like all these boats are pulling in the same direction. And what it's created is, I mean, like, Are we going to have somehow a 3-bid Mountain West again? 4-bid maybe?
It's entirely
Despite
possible.
itself?
Yeah, not being the best version of itself at all, but Utah State, San Diego State, New Mexico, all very much in the mix, and who knows what happens at UNLV in the Mountain West tournament.
What's going to
Grand Canyon
happen
could win,
is
Nevada could win.
it's going to be the same shit as always. And I love the Mountain West for this, but these 3 teams are all going to be like 15-5, 16-4 in conference play or better. And then it's going to be like, oh, here comes Nevada in the conference tournament. And it's like, oh, here comes 4-bid Mountain West.
Yeah, or Colorado State shoot 50% from 3 in the Mountain West tournament and somehow gets all the way to the title. Yeah,
and like 3 of these teams, Utah State excluded, because I think they're going to end up being like a 7 seed or something. But 3 of these teams are going to be 10 seeds or lower. They're going to lose in the first round. We're going to have the same discussion we always do. It's like, oh, the elevation did it again. And it's like, no, I can't really help it. Like, they did what they did. They won games. You can only win what's in front of you. Ask the Patriots.
Yeah, San Diego State's still, trying to figure out, like, beating Oregon in a neutral has not aged usefully at all as a top non-conference win for the Aztecs. But if they just keep winning games in the Mountain West, pick off Utah State at least once, they're going to be right in the mix for an at-large bid as well. So credit to them. And man, if they end up winning the Mountain West in a year where they seemed really down to start, and Utah State seems like just a human blowtorch at this point, that is an impressive accomplishment from Dutcher. All right, well, back to number 4.
Plus 276. This is the highest national number for a mid-major in net points in the paint. Please guess who this is.
All right, it's not Miami of Ohio because they just bomb away from 3.
I'll spoil it's not Santa Clara because we already covered Santa Clara.
Murray State takes a bunch of 3. Is it SLU?
It's Belmont.
Oh,
never in a million years, having grown up watching Belmont, would I have ever guessed this would be Belmont. But it is Belmont.
Shout out to Belmont.
Top 10 in 2-point percentage offensively and defensively. Just got done beating Southern Illinois on the road, which I know is not going to mean much to a ton of people, but any road win against a decent opponent in the Missouri Valley is a good one. No reason to turn that down. Southern Illinois has had these weird struggles for the last 15 years at winning at home. I don't know why, but you just take them. It's good. Belmont 17-3, by the way. I don't know if people are aware of this.
And they're tied 2 points from being 19-1.
Yeah. They could be, we could be having the George Mason talk about Belmont, and they outrate George Mason in pretty much every metric. So they're really freaking good, man. Casey Alexander has been kind of knocking on the door for a while now at having this type of team, and he finally has it. Clearly his best team yet, and I think it's really going to benefit him that this is his best team yet in a better league than the OVC was by the time they left. I am really impressed by what they've done defensively. Offensively, it's just kind of like, okay, it's Belmont. I know what I'm going to get there. I know they're going to be really good on the offensive end. For them to be good defensively is a real twist. Not something. This would be Belmont's first top 100 defense since 2012-2013, when they were an 11 seed and were top 50 in the nation. Again,
only Rick Bird had only 2 top 100 defenses. Casey Alexander doing it here. I'm sure it's maddening for him. The 2024 team had Kay Tyson, Jacoby Gillespie, and Malik Dia, and he's like, well, we couldn't replace those guys, but he found a way to win 22 games again last year, and here they are with a little bit more retention, great front court. He found seemingly a point guard gem in Nick McLean, but he's been hurt, and that hasn't mattered. One Blade's such a great shooter that spaces the floor for him. Always identifies talent well in the freshman class. Jabez Jenkins is the newest addition to that. I'm surprised as good. I wrote the Missouri Valley for Basketball Under Review this offseason, and I was like, Murray State, Northern Iowa, Illinois State, and then Belmont the next tier. I couldn't have even pictured them in this top tier, and instead they're the best team in the league analytically, and definitely a real threat to win the conference title. It's a bummer they had the OT loss and the 1-point loss to Southern Illinois, because they could very well be undefeated in the league, but man, are they talented. And the Murray State game on January 31st is a must watch.
I might have to travel for that. It's just it's 2.5 hours. That'd be worth it. It's funny you bring up Cade Tyson, Jacoby Gillespie, that whole team, because, and I hate saying this, but like 3 of this team's 5 best players are freshmen or sophomores. It is going to be a heroic ask for these guys to be back next year. And God, I hope they are. But like Drew Sharnovsky, probably not coming back. Sam Orm, probably not coming back. And but that's okay, because if they deliver on what they have this year, which is a team that I would say right now is, we'll just say tracking for a 12 seed, could be an 11 if things break right. You got to win Arch Madness, which is its own animal. But this is, we're back to Belmont being sick again. And it's just good. It's so good. The Missouri Valley, man, it never disappoints.
That's right.
Never.
Well, it's the Ohio Valley on steroids now, because Belmont and Murray State sit atop the league.
Yes.
So clearly 2 great additions by the conference. I'm curious what, if anything, Casey Alexander would do in the job search. He's been such a lifer in Nashville. I know he coached at Stetson for a couple of years, but played at Belmont, assistant at Belmont, coached at Lipscomb, now coached at Belmont. Like, he is a Nashville guy. It'd be tough to drag him away. Maybe he'll get the Vandy job if Byington gets UNC or something.
I was going to say, because there's not, unless I'm wrong, and you can tell me if I am, there's not any like directionally or regionally appropriate high major jobs I'm aware of that would be opening. Maybe I'm going to count Memphis in this, and I know I shouldn't. Maybe Memphis opens, but I don't think they'd go after Casey. I can't picture. He doesn't seem like a Georgia Tech fit. I don't think I'd take that job.
I don't think, like, South Carolina. I don't know if that'll even.
There is one, and this is real like hands of fate stuff. But if Rick Barnes were to retire, and I don't think he will. For the record, I think that's like another year or 2 away. But that's possible, because Rick Byrd was always in the mix for the Tennessee job and always really wanted it. But beyond that, I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like UNC seems like a step too far. South Carolina doesn't seem like a step enough. Like, I can't figure out the regionally appropriate job for him. So maybe Belmont just keeps him.
Yeah, Belmont keeps him, and he just is waiting for that potential Rick Barnes retirement. He's just lurking in the weeds, hoping for it to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Credit to Belmont. All right. Let's see. What direction do I want to go next year? Number 4. I will keep it. I'll keep it in your city. Well, or keep it not in technically your city, but I'll keep it in Nashville.
Okay.
57.6%. That is Vanderbilt's 2-point percentage defense through 5 SEC games. 15th out of 16 in the conference. This is kind of the inverse of Iowa State's offense. The defense is fading a little bit here. In 2 losses this week to Texas and Florida, Vandy lost the rebounding battle 82-50. It just got slaughtered on the boards. Jalen Washington isn't playing that much anymore. They're back to kind of the McLaughlin small ball 5 for long extended stretches. Yes, I think there's some bad luck to their 2-point percentage defense, because they are forcing long 2s. They're second in average 2-point attempt distance allowed. Teams are just making them. But I also think there's, in the same way that Iowa State's defense is cracking, or offense is cracking a little bit, I think Vandy's defense is having a little bit of coming back down to earth when they're not able to force turnovers the way they were in the non-conference.
I would say yes and no on the luck thing. Very yes against Texas. Texas hit a bunch of what I will charitably call horseshit shots in that game. We can just say, like, just one guy, just Tremont Mark, which was really enjoyable to watch. I have to say, like, guys chasing horrendous shot quality and hitting them is really entertaining. And it was entertaining that day. Florida just kind of bullied them, like, just kind of whooped them down low over and over. Like, Haupt kind of got whatever he wanted. Chanielu kind of got whatever he wanted. And that was, I'm not shocked by that, because in the preseason, we both thought that the main flaw with the Vandy was the front court. Like, we loved their guards and wings, but we were like, front court battles, perhaps not so much. And then during non-conference play, I was like, well, wait a minute. Maybe Jalen Washington's fine enough. Maybe McLaughlin holds up. And now I'm kind of back to thinking, okay, the front court's the problem. Because they do force really poor quality 2s, which is good. But a thing that I find alarming is, 1, the rebounding, and 2, how bad the foul count gets for them in these games. Like, they are down to 325th in defensive free throw rate. And against top 100 teams, they are not only getting out rebounded by 3.6 per 100 possessions, they are giving up 45 free throw attempts to 100 field goal attempts. And when you allow like 60-ish in the average game, that means you're probably giving up about 25 free throw attempts per game to good teams. That is really bad. And it's not, and Vandy has had some poor luck on this in the sense that opponents are shooting 79% from the free throw line in these games. But that largely means, and I've gone back and fact checked this, the guys you're fouling are good shooters. Like, you are fouling guys driving to the rim, guards and wings. It's not front court guys. So I don't know what the fix is there for them. Byington doesn't seem like a zone guy to me, and I don't think they should zone. I think you just kind of have the hand you've dealt yourself and stay with the drop, stay with what's working largely, and just kind of hope it works. Like, there are teams that are going to shoot themselves into a tizzy against Vandy. Like, it is really funny that they are playing Arkansas the day we're recording this, because I can easily see a situation where Arkansas just shoots 32 mid-range jumpers and Vandy wins. But then again, I can see a situation where Boogie Flan and Malik Thomas are just like, oh, we're both going to shoot 13 free throws tonight.
Yeah, that could very easily happen.
Yeah.
You say Boogie Flan? Do you mean Darius Acuff? Boogie Flan just did. Yeah. I was like, before
you got me good.
God
yeah, damn it.
Yeah.
Language. Sorry, Reverend Mark. There's like the good news for them is there are 4 games following this, and one of these is going to be a controversial pick, but at Mississippi State, home Kentucky, at Ole Miss, home Oklahoma, you should win all 4 of those. Maybe this is, Jesus, maybe Kentucky gets down by 32 and comes back this time at Memorial.
Yeah.
I just at this point, like, some teams have the mandate of heaven and you just have to accept it. And I guess Kentucky's got it this week. But in the normal world with normal results, Vandy can get past this Arkansas game, even if you lose, and like, you can be 20-3 headed to Auburn on February 10th. It won't be that bad. So they're still fine, but you can see the eventual demise coming, and you can see the source.
Yeah, I think they're just, back to where, like we said, Iowa State, maybe they're 13th. Vandy feels like 12th to 15th best. Not like the top 5 that they had. Oh, they got to 5th in KenPom before that's 2-game losing streak. And I feel like they're just kind of where they belong right now. It's still a very good team, just maybe not fully elite. Okay, Will, back to you.
I hid this from you, buddy. I hid it because the other one is the other half of the MVC new Ohio Valley crossover race. It's plus 303. This is the highest national number in net total points from 3, which also is plus 101 and makes 16-3 Murray State.
Oh, yeah.
These guys kick ass. I love them. There's so much. Ryan Miller, thank you. Thank you for creating such an entertaining team. And thank you for bringing back the OVC race in a new conference the way it was meant to be. Let's go. I'm turning full Peter Schrager right now, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, you're real jacked up about the new MVC, and we love it. This is not what I expected this team to play like with the size they brought in. Okay, we'll play through Fred King, Roman Doman, the French guy they brought in who's like a creator type in the front court. JJ Traynor, not a big-time volume shooter. It's like, all right, they're just going to lean on teams with their size and their depth. And that is not the case. They take away the three-point line better than anybody in the entire country, and they bomb away from deep. I am impressed that they're playing this way. I'm impressed that they're succeeding to this degree this way. I mean, they haven't lost since November 24th, and they've got some tough tests coming up in the MVC. But, yeah, I think the question was, can Ryan Miller coach with the talent he brought in? And he's fairly resoundingly answered it yes so far.
Their full-on removal of threes is really fascinating to watch. I have not, and this is coming from somebody who's watched an inordinate amount of Hawaii basketball in the last year or two. They are so good at taking away three-point shots and just funneling you inside. It is a drop, but it's not like your standard, like, I think of like the Josh Oduro drop at Providence from a couple of years ago, where he was like in the parking lot basically for some of those drives to the basket. You don't see splits like these, man. So at Hoop Explorer, they've got, rim attack versus attack and kick. And it's usually a really good tell for 1, drop coverage, and 2, if a team is confident in their guards handling drives to the basket one-on-one. because if they're not, they're going to send a secondary guy and you're going to get a 4-on-3 kickout situation. Murray State, 25.7. This is per 100. Rim attacks to 7 kickout threes per 100.
They hear kickouts. No, thank you. We don't allow them.
They don't happen. They don't allow dribble jumpers either. It's all mid-range. They do allow a lot of backdoor cuts, which I don't love, but it's all at the service of eliminating threes and turning it into math ball, which I like that they do this. It doesn't always work. Like, there are just times where like they don't hit threes, or teams can really like at times run up the score in them in the paint. It depends on the matchup. Like, they got by SMU earlier this year, which I think is acceptable. They got by MTSU, which is less acceptable, but they're still really good. Up almost 50 spots on KenPom this year from preseason. The clear number 2 alongside Belmont in the MVC race. And like you said, January 31st, I'm going to be honest with you, buddy. Going to Nashville is annoying as hell these days, but maybe I'll make a special exception. Might have to do it for this.
There we go. That's the spirit.
I'll deal with the parking. I'll deal with all the annoyance that is like getting around Nashville on a Saturday night.
The 3-point attempt rate on defense with 24.1%. There's only 2 other teams below 30. Like, nobody's really even close to them. But curiously, or not, maybe not curiously, Creighton is 9th. There's clearly it's like taking his old mentor, his old boss's style at Creighton, Ryan Miller and Greg McDermott, and maxing it out to the extreme here with the mid-major size and athleticism that they have. It is quite a build roster-wise, and the execution of it's been outstanding too. Wow, so much Missouri Valley love from Will on this episode.
So quick look back here before we move on. This would be at 24%, the lowest 3-point attempt rate allowed since Jeff Linder at Northern Colorado in 2019-20 in a full season. So
the extreme measures being taken. Yeah. Well, I'm just looking right now. The Missouri Valley is 18th as a league in 3-point attempt rate. So it's not like, they're denying the SoCon of their constant 3-point attempts. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, next up for me, I'm going to go to an individual, but he's representative of a team that I think needed to get a shout out this week. My number is 0.91, and that is Darren Peterson's points per minute in Big 12 play. He has played 135 minutes, and he has 123 points in 5 Big 12 games. Kansas is clearly ascending. They had 2 outstanding performances this week, just blowing out Baylor and blowing out Iowa State. That was Tuesday night. So for listeners, that game happened after or before this even came out, but it happened after we recorded last week. And Kansas has to go to Colorado tonight without Bill Self. We'll see if they can handle the elevation and the plaudits that they're getting from the media right now. But the defense is still rock solid. And if the offense is going to ascend with Peterson's just preternatural individual scoring, I am sort of buying that they could be a type of team. Like, could they end up the season better than Iowa State? Will, is that possible?
It just depends on health. I do think there's some looming regression stuff. Like, the 3-point percentage is fine. I don't mind that allowed on defense, but opponents probably shouldn't be shooting 65% from the line the whole season. That seems a little strange. Especially, I mean, like, Kansas doesn't foul much, which is good. But I mean, they kind of play pretty conservative on D as a whole. But the actual defensive numbers all hold up to me, like second in block rate. Offensively, there's, really rounding into form. I've been really impressed by Trey White this year as a counterpoint to Darren Peterson. Like, really has come along in a way I didn't think was possible for him. Really plus player on both ends of the court. I like him a lot, and I wouldn't say I'm proud. I'm not a Kansas fan, but it's like I'm happy with how he's come along compared to where he was at Louisville or even at USC his freshman year. Like, he's really evolved as a player. But with Peterson, I don't know about being ahead of Iowa State. I could see it, but they strike me as the classic team that I'm going to roughly assume is like a 4 seed. We'll say it kind of seems like 4 or 5 is the general range.
That's exactly where they are in bracket matrix right now, 4 or 5.
Okay. So 4 or 5. And if Peterson's healthy the rest of the way, like a 3, I think is totally possible. But they're going to be easily the most popular Final Four pick from whatever seed line they're on.
Yeah, I think that
Easily.
is. Yeah, looking at it right now, they're a 5 seed line with Texas Tech, Clemson, and Arkansas. I definitely think people will fall in love with that seed line because Texas Tech had such a run last year. Arkansas, the John Calipari talent factor too, but Kansas with a lottery pick, a potential number 1 overall pick, I think is going to get a lot of shine come March and come those the initial reaction shows on the bracket where each media talking head is trying to make like one bold pick. It's going to be like, all right, I have 3 1 seeds in Kansas in my Final Four, and that's probably going to be what we see happen.
Yeah, I'm still working. I'm working the lines here. It's probably Belmont actually, or whoever wins the NBC. The Seth Davis 12 seed pick of the year.
Yeah, NBC feels like a good one there, or if Miami of Ohio ends up at a 12 seed.
Yale could get there. I can see Yale being it.
All right, well, that's 5 for each of us. 2 more to go here. What's next for you?
One more mid-major shout out for me, because we have covered a lot on the show. This has been a really good mid-major show, by the way. We're not stealing Sean Paul shine or anything, though.
I gave San Diego State a little love, but it's been all you. I'm letting you do the mid-major torchbearing.
Yeah, I like to cook because January feels like a good time to cook for these teams because I'm going to be honest, I'm going to forget about a good amount of them in like mid-February when it's like, oh, we've got the 7th edition of Kansas and Houston, or like whatever the top 6 in the Big 12, like their crossover game. It's like, oh, this is the 9th time I've watched these teams in the last month.
Yep.
But of all the teams that we've discussed with like 1 or 2 losses this year, I don't think I've seen a single soul in America mention that UNC Wilmington is 17-2. Like I just haven't heard about it, and it's
best jerseys in the country, maybe arguably.
Yes, oh god, one of the best atmospheres in the country too. They really own the just like the mid-major atmosphere game. I love watching UNC Wilmington games. Their fans are so good.
Yep.
I don't know how they do it, and I don't know how Takeo Siddle has done it like seemingly 4 years in a row now, but these guys win like 80% of close games. There's never regression. I've tried to figure out how they do it, and I can't. But this year actually seems to be a legitimately really good team. Plus 10 on the boards per 100. Really good two-way foul rate. They're up there with GMU in terms of free throw differential. Pretty darn good interior defense. Top 100 and 2-point percentage allowed. I don't love what they do offensively. They can get a little overly reliant on Pat Wessler and Madison Durr when they're in the game. And, having Wessler in the game in particular, a 7-footer at the mid-major level, like kind of gives them a leg up in that regard. But they are, again, 17-2, 6-0. They found a million different ways to win this year. They just won a game at the weekend over Campbell, 78-75. 2 weeks ago, they won a game over Hampton, 49-45. They have scored everything between 106 and 49 in games they've won this year. That's a great sign to me of just like a team that gets the job done. And I don't know if I'm fully there with them rolling the roost in the CAA. Hofstra's going to have something to say there. Can't quit William and Mary. I love those guys. Against my better judgment, I can't quit Charleston either, even though I really should.
Yeah, Charleston kind of betrayed my faith in them this weekend with a 2 OT loss to Stony Brook. I thought coming off the Towson loss, that was the right spot for Charleston to look good. But yeah, UNC Wilmington, man, they're doing it like shorthanded too.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Lamoth has barely played this season. He's just come back recently and has been a shell of himself. CJ Luster was arguably their biggest transfer portal newcomer, and he's out for the season, hasn't played at all, never got on the court, big time shooter from Stony Brook. And Gavin Walsh has been out their last 4 games, a big time rebounder, one of the best rebounders in the country at Binghamton last season. So they're, it's kind of a thinned out rotation, but they found enough studs, picking Wessler off the bench at Virginia Tech and letting him come be the best big man in the CAA. That has looked really good. They grabbed Christian May from conference rival Towson. Siddle just did a really nice job finding pieces in all different places and putting it together to a winner that, slows it down, plays in half court, and finds ways to win. As you said, 2-game lead in the CAA, a lot of ball game left to play in that conference with, the fact that almost all their games are close. But I I'm a Wilmington fan. I have a preseason bet on them to win the conference, so I'm hoping this sustains, Will, and I'm glad you're giving them some shine.
Yeah, they're not an at-large or anything, but they're interesting thing to me for March purposes if they get there. If you haven't watched them, starting lineup goes 6'5", 6'5", 6'7", 6'7", and 7 feet. That is pretty long and tall for a mid-major. That's unusual. That makes them so they're projected as like a 13 seed or so. Really interesting potential if they get in, because they have the length to really disrupt defensively in a way that we rarely see from teams at that seed line.
Yep, and they'll slow it down mostly, so they're not going to like get played off the court in a high sample size, high possession game. They're just going to limit things, and they do a lot of things that an underdog you want them to do. Like they're pretty good on the boards because of the size they have. They can switch them defensively. They would be a very dangerous 13 whatever seed they would get in March because of all the aspects that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm trying to debate which two of my final three I want to go with here. I feel like it'd almost be we'd be remiss to not mention it a little bit. So I'm going to say 0.26%. Will, that's my next number, and that is the minimum win probability for Kentucky in their last two games multiplied together. They're down to 5.6% to win against LSU, 4.8% to beat Tennessee at the lowest point in that game, and they somehow come back and win both. And it really helps when a team that you could argue isn't very good at three-point shooting makes shots. They were on fire in the second half to erase that LSU deficit, and then they shot 11 for 24 from three to beat Tennessee. They've had the size. They've had some individual defenders that can make plays, but the offense suddenly looks competent. Do you see this more as an aberration and kind of a mirage of a team that is consistently getting down double digits? Because obviously the comebacks are could be a little bit of smoke and mirrors. I don't know. Where do you land on Kentucky? I know this is a personal, hard, close to your heart question after the Tennessee game.
I see this as me sitting on the train and praying the Wi-Fi would go down so I could stop watching the fucking game. I do. Maybe I'm stupid, and I think somebody should cut that out and just loop it. But it's really hard to sustain getting down by 10 over and over. So I forgot who it was. Somebody at KSR actually, I know, put this stat out, but Kentucky has played, I believe 11 games against P5s or top 100s or whatever this year. And I think the stat was in 9 of these 11, they've been down by 10 or more points at some point in the game.
Yikes.
And so is it good that you, if I'm reading this right, won 4 of those 9? Yeah, of course. Like, is that sustainable? I just don't believe so. I don't really believe you can continue doing that. And now maybe this is the catalyst for Kentucky to play better. Maybe they stop getting down by so much. I do think Mark Pope has a really strange addiction to lineup roulette in first halves. And Tennessee especially, they played some really strange ones that I didn't understand. And some of that was foul trouble initiated, but it seems that in the second halves, like the old, dumb fan adage of just play the good players actually does happen for Kentucky. They just play better lineups. Like they just stop doing stupid stuff. But that being said, like, I don't know, man. Like I'm doing some math here. 13 games left. They're underdogs in 7 of these 13. The schedule is not going to lighten up for them. Like they have, of the remaining SEC schedules, the very toughest per team rankings.
Yep.
It doesn't.
Florida twice and Vandy twice. Have fun.
Yeah, it doesn't get easier from here. And like, it is funny to say this in a week where they get Texas and Ole Miss at home. Like those are probably your 2 easiest games left. I mean,
yeah.
It's either that or Oklahoma. And honestly, like considering what Oklahoma does, I know they've lost 4 in a row, but I could make the argument that they are more apt to exploit what Kentucky does wrong than a Texas or an Ole Miss.
Yeah, they've got the scoring to just go nuts a little bit there on the road at Rupp. And I know Otega Owe had his like miracle performances to beat them last year, his old team, but I don't know if that's going to be sustainable. And without Lowe, I don't know what Quainton's deal is going to be the rest of the way, having missed 3 straight games with like knee swelling after his return from his ACL. I can't really buy it. I can't buy these comebacks as any sort of sustainable. It's funny because they're finally getting love and like, is Kentucky back in the national media? And now I want to push back and be like, no, I think they had some strokes of luck and some great runs of shooting against teams that got a little complacent while being ahead of them. And even if they win these 2 games against Texas and Mississippi, I still think you posed that question if they would enter March Madness with 10 or more losses. I think you're a heavy favorite to be correct there, Will.
Well, I mean, their projected record right now at Ken Palm's 19-12. And I feel like if you're a Kentucky, you should take that. I know that sounds absurd if you're a Kentucky fan and you're riding the high right now. But again, like, let's read off the rest of the schedule really quick. So beyond Ole Miss and Texas here. Road Vandy, road Arkansas, home Oklahoma, home Tennessee, road Florida, home Georgia, road Auburn, road South Carolina, tricky game, home Vandy, road A&M, home Florida. You are an underdog in 7 of those 13. That means you need to pull an upset to get to 19-12 and therefore over 500 in conference play. And like some of those are not like extremely difficult upsets. Like you're an underdog by 1 against Vandy and A&M both. Like I don't know that those really count as upsets. Those are coin flips. But this is also assuming that you win every game you're a favorite in, which is not the most likely event in the world. Like that required, I feel like a freaking idiot for saying this. That requires you to beat Tennessee at home, requires you to take care of a game against Texas, and Texas kind of looks a little spicy right now. Yeah. Requires you to win at South Carolina, which I know that's a funny thing to say, but South Carolina is not abject. No, neither is Georgia at home. No. So, I mean, it's tricky. I wanted to buy low actually 2 weeks ago, and now I'm back to like, we're kind of back to a sell high.
Yeah. I think a little bit. I think they're maybe it's you wait after these Texas Mississippi games, but Texas is playing just as well as anybody right now until the Texas A&M loss. But all right, that's Kentucky. They needed to be discussed. Well, we had to pay our homage to the click lords of the internet. So all right, back to you
we can TikTok that one.
Yeah, back to you for your final number here.
Well, it's time to get confusing because I find myself more confused by this team than pretty much anybody in America right now. The number is 13, and this is a new record for this season. This is the number of consecutive field goal shots made by TCU in the game against Utah, which they lost 82-79. 13 in a row, and they lost. The previous record for the season, by the way, was 10.
That's ridiculous.
10 consecutive field goals. So hitting 13 in a row and losing, that is a serious lottery to somehow pull off. My hat is tipped. So either good for you or bad. I don't really know or care. But I have to bring this up because 2 weeks ago, I was getting pretty convinced TCU was going to make the tournament. So they had not smoked. They beat Baylor at home. Probably could have won by more than they did. They have wins over Florida and Wisconsin. They do have bad losses now. New Orleans, home Notre Dame, road Utah. But this is a team that, like, I can't figure out if I'm in or out on. I don't know if anybody can. They're good defensively. They're TCU offensively, which is to say not great. But how do you evaluate a team with 2 great neutral site wins, 2 atrocious losses, a bunch of games where they really could have, like the Kansas game really looms large in retrospect. That one's going to be the one that stings.
Up 9 with a minute left. Oh,
yeah,
man,
and like
that one's crushing.
I don't know how to evaluate this team. And it's weird to talk about TCU in this way, but as it stands, they've still got a 32% chance to make the tournament. And at good old T-Rankatology, they're in the next 4 out. And this is because I have to bring this up because 2 weeks ago, they were somewhat safely in the projected field. So and I bring this up because right now, the Big 12, which I think inarguably has the best top 6 or the best top third, however you want to evaluate that, of any conference, could only get 7 teams in the field. And really at this point only has 6 safely in it. UCF is probably going to make it, but it's no lock. And beyond that, it is a true question mark to find an 8th.
Yeah, TCU, Baylor, Cincinnati, West Virginia, mileage really varies on those. TCU is so confusing. I felt good about them competing at BYU on Wednesday night. And then, yeah, second straight altitude game, they could not get stops against a Utah team that is not very good right now. And that was Utah's first Big 12 win. You don't want to have that as a blemish on your ledger there for TCU. You said it was like 30% at T Rankatology to make the field. I'm thinking no. The schedule does soften up like towards the end of the season, but they've got to get through at Baylor, home Houston, another elevation trip to Colorado, home Iowa State, and then final like 3 weeks of the season. They don't play any top 20 teams. They get one tough one with Texas Tech. Will accumulating quantity of wins along with that Florida and Wisconsin wins they have from early in the season be enough? I kind of think no. I think that home Q4 loss on opening night is going to be eventually what sinks them.
It feels like at minimum I'm going to say like maybe this is reductive, but I feel like you got to go 9-9 for just in general to make the tournament out of the Big 12 this year. You got to go 9-9 because they're going to be dragged down by some of these lower end teams. Like Utah really isn't. I know Utah won, but that was their first conference win. They're still not very good. Kansas State, sorry, Barry. Arizona State's ugly. And I have to be honest, it snuck up on me that Colorado's won 2 games in this league. But anyway, I think you got to go 9-9, and that's a real tough task for TCU when they are going to be underdogs in 7 remaining games. It means they got to pull 2 upsets. And so the only teams that are above 500 right now are the Big 6, UCF, and West Virginia. And like I said, we like UCF, but West Virginia had a really rough run of play in non-conference where they just could not win a close game. So, I don't know. It's a weird deal where it's like the top end of the Big 12 is awesome. I trust all 6 of those teams. But I don't know that I'd rank a single other team in the top 40 nationally.
Yeah, it's bizarre. The middle has fallen off. It's mushy. It's a mushy middle. And typically the Big 12 is a lot more competitive in that part of it.
It's a rotting. It's like an apple that's been left out too long.
Yeah, sitting on the ground at the orchard, you're picking and you're just stepping on that one and you're walking right by
how am I got to get this out of my shoe? Yeah. I got to get Oklahoma State out of this shoe? Come on.
Yeah. All right. Should I go positive or negative for my last number? Will, what do you think?
Positive. We can't close on TCU.
Okay. All right. Then I won't. Just so you know, Will Wade and NC State, you got off the hook there. All right. My last number is 119.7, and that is St. John's point per possession in conference play. The number 1 offense in the Big East. That's right ahead of UConn. They're finally playing their best lineup. Will, I don't know if they're going to get to your projected 9 or 10 different starting lineups because they seemingly have figured out the correct one. Rick Pitino used this lineup on opening night with Hopkins, Dylan Mitchell, and Zuby all together, and then mysteriously went away from it and did not return to it until Big East play. But that trio, Hopkins, Mitchell, Zuby, I think the questions were like, how does it work together? They have a 98th percentile offensive rating in 167 minutes together. And it's because they're in the 99th percentile on the offensive glass and the 98th percentile in turnover rate for CBB Analytics. That group is somehow not coughing it up. They're just able to get shots up. And once the shots are up, they dominate the boards. The offense is shockingly really cooking. They just won at Villanova, who's like kind of the recent darling to be the second best team in the Big East, but it's very clearly St. John's, and they're doing it with an offense that is just torching opponents in league play.
Normally, I don't actually root for teams outside of my own or like whatever pet projects I've got for a year. So a lot of people, like, if you're in this long enough as you and I have been, you'll get accused of like, oh, we hate this team or we hate whatever. And like we probably, at least I did, get accused of hating St. John's the preseason. I will own up to the fact that Saturday I was hoping they would beat Villanova because I like being right. And because I like just that people are now forced to acknowledge the correct truth, which is that St. John's is the obvious second best team in the Big East, as they have been this whole time. Like UConn's number 1. Let's not get that wrong. But St. John's has been number 2 and has been number 2 the whole time. I'm aware of Villanova's rise. Seton Hall, despite some swoonage, they're still fine. They'll be okay. St. John's is number 2. They're obviously that. And Zuby's the best player in the league. They seem to have settled in. It's cool that they're number 1 in offensive efficiency in league play. They're not going to shoot 39% from 3 the whole way, I don't think, but that's okay. Nope. Like, the turnover avoidance is good enough for me. I'm really happy to see that. Love seeing them own the defensive boards. Finally, it only took them 15 games to figure out that they can rebound. I'm proud of them. They're just coming around at the right time. And for them, really coming around at a hell of a spot in the schedule. Because the next 4, not soft by any standards, but certainly not brutal. Home Seton Hall, road Xavier, home Butler, road DePaul. KP's got them 8-point favorites or higher in all 4 of those. I'm going to run the numbers really quick here, and it produces about a 41% chance of getting through those at 4-0. I'll take the over on that, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So if you do go 4-0, let's just say for the sake of this argument they do. And it's not an argument, but 17-5, 10-1 heading into home UConn on February 6th. Pretty salty and pretty darn good. And maybe, just maybe, I think it was really stupid to have them, not stupid, that's mean. It was kind of silly to have them 5th or whatever in the preseason. What were they in the AP poll? 4th?
Yeah, I think I had them 6th nationally myself. Okay. So I'm one of the silly billies.
Okay. Well, you're not Gary Parrish, who we love, but if they're 15th or whatever, that's fine. That's about right. And 15th is more than good enough for what they are.
Yeah, definitely a chance that, as we record this on a Tuesday, they drop one to scrappy Seton Hall, mega athletic tonight. But I do kind of want them to go 4-0 leading into that UConn game, because Friday night, Madison Square Garden, John Fanta might implode just out of excitement for that matchup and the scene and the setting. There's no other big games going on that evening. So it will have all the hype that it deserves. So I'm hoping that we can get that 4-0 run out of St. John's here.
Quick qualifier. I will accept a scenario here where on February 3rd they play road DePaul. Give me DePaul pushing St. John's for 40 minutes in the all-time look-ahead spot for St. John's.
Yeah, Tuesday night they're in cold Chicago. With
my boy, the Blue Demon Degenerate, would be posting. If
that's right.
DePaul leads with 5 minutes to go.
Okay, that is our 7-stat rotation back and forth. Well, we've got to take a quick look ahead to tonight, to Tuesday. People listening to this on Wednesday morning, it's Willstradamus time. Will, what's going to happen tonight? Biggest games: Vandy at Arkansas, Texas Tech at Baylor, my Missouri Tigers need to get off the mat against Georgia. What's reaching out to you and giving you signs from the future?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see. So Vandy, Arkansas is really interesting because Arkansas is actually favored in this game, which I'm surprised to see. That's a little bit of a spot sell, maybe, and a Vandy disappointment sell. I'm not sure. I did my sell high on Vandy, and I'm trying to time my buy low. I don't know if I can yet. I think I need another loss. So I'm going to go Arkansas to win. We're going to get some good narratives out of this if Arkansas wins. I do kind of root a little bit for the funny results.
Oh, Katsu.
And it's I don't really have any affection for or against Arkansas or Vandy, even having gone to Tennessee. Respect for both, no real problem with either. But it's the funnier result to me if Arkansas wins, and not naming names, we get is Vanderbilt in trouble with 5 exclamation and question marks after. And it's Cooper flag regen in the about section. So I think, it would be good if Arkansas wins. That's what I'm getting at. I'm going to go Mizzou. I think Mizzou gets it done. Yes. Georgia has a weird road thing I'm noticing. They just it doesn't, the pace carries over, but the defense doesn't. And they're already shaky on the defensive end. They can score anywhere. But it feels like Mizzou kind of gets one done. Scanning the rest of the schedule, I called this shot in the watch list, and I can't back down, as stupid as it sounds. UCLA is going to get it done over Purdue in an all-time letdown look-ahead spot for Purdue. Okay. Just so many close games lately, and a big one big one looming at the weekend for them against Illinois on Saturday. So
yeah, second straight game on the West Coast. I could certainly buy that. Yep.
and then from there, two others. It sucks to call this one. Kent State's going to beat Miami of Ohio.
I think so too.
I think the run ends. And I like Baylor. I like Baylor to beat Texas Tech.
Wow. Okay. All right. Baylor
It just kind of feels like Baylor has suffered, culture of joy stuff, whatever. They've suffered enough and have been ass beaten enough in these games against good teams. I just can't accept the thought that they're that bad. Because for the record, this is a team that beat San Diego State by double digits. I know Creighton's not great this year, but they've beaten Creighton. They've beaten Washington. They're not bad. They're not good, but they're not bad. And we've seen, we just saw Iowa State lose to Cincinnati. This isn't an outlandish call. So I'll say Baylor gets it done. Maybe I should stop liking home teams so much. This could be a problem for me.
Yeah, no, hey, come on. You're picking out the right home teams. That's what you're doing.
Building trust here. I will say one additional one. I do think Clemson, whatever the spread is in that game, covers over NC State. NC State can't seem to get it done against drop coverage. And boy, is it a bad time to be playing Clemson if you can't get it done against drop.
Yep. The most extreme drop, forced you into long possessions. No transition scoring opportunities likely for NC State there. Forced them to execute in the half court. That is scary. All right, there you have it, folks. That is Willstradamus putting on his future-looking cap, grabbing his crystal ball. And you will hear that he is correct as you're listening to this. You know that all of those results are exactly what happened last night. That is it for another week of stats. Will, any other parting words for the listeners?
Shout out to the NFL, man. It delivered once again. It just never
shield,
stopped.
Baby.
The shield, freaking
shield.
Look, and the college football title game was pretty good. I will admit, as somebody who didn't enjoy the season much, but the shield, delicious.
All kinds of drama.
It even made listening to Bill Simmons bearable. And I love my Bill Simmons pod. As he was like, "Oh, I'm scared of Jarrett Stidham." Small bean Bill Simmons. Get out of here, buddy.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right against Jarrett Stidham. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to Trilly Donovan for the Basket Under Review platform, to Corey Aldis, our producer behind the scenes, to Home Field, our sponsor, and to Sam Freyer for our graphics, and you, the listener, for tuning in. Once again, we'll be back next week, Wednesday morning, after recording on Tuesday, another episode of Stats. But until then, enjoy the basketball and have a great, great week.